This is why you died.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Is Why You Died, the horror show that's a lot like the TV show Friends. Only on this version of the show, Ross isn't a paleontologist, he's digging up human bones. Phoebe is played by Kathy Bates. Monica will actually kill you if you get crumbs on her countertop. Joey, the serial dater, is played by Ted Bundy, the serial killer.
Oh.
Rachel names her and Ross's baby Damien, and the reason no one knows what Chandler does for a living is because he's hiding out under an assumed identity after fleeing San Francisco, where he operated as the Zodiac Killer. Or maybe he's just wearing the skin of the last person who asked. I am Sir Ian Dangerous, a.k.a. your Uncle Frank, and joining me are the Will Colbert of our show, Mr. Dan March of Madness, and our very own Paul Stevens, Ryan Ross. Live. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
That was incredible opening. I did not know where that was going to go. I was curious what Chandler was going to be doing, and that is the Zodiac. That's good.
He's the Zodiac Killer.
Am I supposed to know who Paul Stevens is?
Paul Stevens is played by Bruce Willis. He was Ross's girlfriend's dad, and then he ended up dating Rachel for a couple of episodes. And then Will Colbert was played by Brad Pitt. He was their high school buddy, and he hates Rachel.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going deep Friends lore on this episode.
Deep Friends lore. That was the first and last time that Friends will be mentioned on this show, and those references go out to Marissa in Indiana. We are the horror show that picks prompts at random from the 666 words and phrases in our buckets of the beast, and then we choose and watch horror movies based on those prompts and come back here to discuss them with all of you, our dedicated listeners. So, boys, we have an absolute monster of a show today. The prompt was picked by Dan. Dan, what was your prompt?
It was tragedy. It was tragedy.
And what did you do to us? You hexed us, dude.
I hexed you. I hexed the team, and I decided to make us do double features again. This time it was a watch the original and then watch the legacy sequel, prequel, whatever it might be.
Remake.
Yes, remake, and see if it was worth it to resurrect it, or did you ruin it? That's what I call it. Resurrect it or ruin it.
Resurrection or ruination.
Yeah, so far we've done Omen.
We did the Omen. And the first Omen. And then I did Dawn of the Dead and the 2004 Dawn of the Dead remake. It was interesting because the Omen and the first Omen, we said the first Omen, you guys were like, it's okay. And the first Omen was actually a pretty damn good movie, and it held up, and it actually kind of resuscitated the franchise a little bit, made us interested in it again. Dawn of the Dead, we were like, the original, it has not held up well. That's what you guys said, at least. I still love it. But then the remake, the 2004 remake, revitalized the zombie genre in general. So we were like, that was absolutely a resurrection, the definition of. And then this time, Dan, you chose tragedy. And what did you go for that prompt?
I went for Halloween.
Good.
The original
God.
John Carpenter Halloween, paired with the 2018 kind of reboot / remake.
Yeah.
Halloween. Also
paired with it like a potentially like a fine wine paired with a steak, or I don't know, it might be a glass of grape water. We got to discuss it and find out which one is which, because the 2018 trilogy, the one that began with 2018, is controversial in the Halloween fandom, to say the least. And we watched both those movies, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the original Halloween and the 2018 Halloween and how they compare, into the 2018 one, make it worthwhile to resurrect the franchise again. We were 13 movies we're now at in the Halloween franchise. 13!
So
my
many.
God. They have brought it back so many times. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about these two movies. We'll talk about a whole lot more. Boys, anything that we need to get to, anything we need to discuss before we jump right in on these two Halloween movies? Anything you guys got to say in your defense before we get in here?
Well, I mean, people should go to beacons.ai/TIWYD pod and support us. Go shop. Look, I got the beanie on, stuck to my head. Yeah, and so, go there. We have a Patreon. It exists. Ryan talks about it all the time. We can't shut up about it.
Somebody say Patreon.
Someone said Patreon.
We got a bunch of tiers on the Patreon, and each tier comes with an exclusive perk. You can get merch discounts. You get access to our bonus content, including our Dead by Daylight episode, which is officially up and available for viewing, where I got these two to play Dead by Daylight for the first time with a couple of our patrons. It was a blast. It was hilarious. I had a lot of fun.
I bet you did.
Oh, I did. It was great. But also, our top tier is our dedicated benefactors, which has a exclusive perk where you get a shout out every single episode. So, CG, thank you so much.
CG. Thank you, CG.
CG, thank you.
First dedicated benefactor.
Yes.
And yes, feel free to check it out. Like I said, you can join for free. You do not have to pay for the Patreon. Not a lot of people know this. You do get access to the Patreon for free. And then all the paid tiers actually just have perks on top of that. We also have a patron exclusive Discord that you can join. So please check it out. And we even have some goals that we can reach if we get certain levels of patrons that will improve the show, including live recordings where you guys could potentially watch us record, the potential for in-person viewings. And then also we have checkpoints where you can add killers to each season on top of the killers that we already have. So you can have multiple killers running around.
Interactivity. Yeah, we can start slashing prompts, which might have to happen. We've got most of them out of the way. Who still has a killer? Who still has a slash my prompt killer thing going on right now?
I still have one.
You still have one?
Slash, and I still have my killer. Are the only two things left.
Oh, right.
So I can still kill somebody else's prompt to make them either refresh or steal it. Or just deny them a choice, whereas Dan can slash one of his own prompts and mix
Got
it up.
Got it.
All right.
And I don't have the ability to slash anyone's prompt, right? I've already slashed.
You
your
used it on me. You gifted it to me.
That's true. You helped about to get to the omen.
Damn it. That's true. I did. It's okay. It was worth it.
You took
it was worth
on me, frankly.
That was a great episode. The chaos that ensued when Dan hexed us was brilliant, but not as brilliant as the 1978 Halloween, one of the movies that we are discussing today. Before we do the spoiler warning, though, real quick, guys. Okay, Dan, I know you've seen the first Halloween a billion times if you've seen it once. Am I right?
You're absolutely right.
You and me, we've seen the original Halloween a billion times. The 2018 Halloween, how many times had you seen that one before the show?
I've probably seen that 5-6 times, maybe.
What?
Yes.
Wow. All right.
I'm ready to talk about this.
You were fired up. This was my second time seeing the 2018 Halloween. I've only seen it one other time. But then Ryan Ross Live, our initiate, the man who came into the beginning of this show having almost never seen a horror movie. What is your history with the Halloween franchise in general? Let's talk about the entire franchise, as well as the first John Carpenter movie and then the reboot.
So I'm pretty sure I've seen the first one, I think in college for a class. But the thing is, I don't remember most of the movie. Or at least after watching it, I was like, because I wasn't quite sure. I was like, I think I've seen it. It's been a long time. I remember certain parts. And so I think I've seen it once before, but I don't even know if it was in its entirety. And then obviously I've seen references. We watch Scream. They watch Halloween in Scream, which actually I was thinking about the fact that I don't think that this is spoiler territory. You could do a chain of horror movies of if you watch The Thing and then watch Halloween and then watch Scream, of movies that watch other horror movies in that movie and just continue this. That would be a great view party. Anyway, so I've seen parts of the movie in other movies. I've seen, obviously, Michael Myers is hugely culturally prevalent. I'm familiar with The Mask. I'm familiar with he's the big guy with the knife. I'm familiar with he doesn't talk. I'm familiar he's very strong. Obviously, we've talked about Dead by Daylight. He just left Dead by Daylight. He stalks
you
people.
Played him in Dead by Daylight.
When we played good in Dead by Daylight as him.
On our Patreon episode, playing Dead by Daylight, he was a fantastic Michael Myers.
I very much went a specific, like, non-violent, more just jump scare Michael Myers rather than the hunting Michael Myers, which I do definitely want to show you guys at some point because oh my god, is he fun.
Dude, I gotta say, the way that you played him was kind of like what they're going for, like the idea behind Michael Myers in these two movies, that he's more of a force of nature, and when he kills and why he kills is kind of random, because sometimes we'd turn around and you'd just be standing there watching us, juicing up or whatever it is that he does in the game, but like not attacking.
Exactly.
And then other times you just come right at us. And you never knew what you were going to get.
Next to you, and you wouldn't do anything to me, and I would just run away. I'd be like, oh shit, and then I just ran off.
Despite having almost no experience with the movies, it's like you understood Michael Myers, which is interesting because between the game mechanics and pop culture, it was kind of like you got Michael Myers. But had you ever seen any other Halloween movie besides potentially the original one?
No, I've never seen any movies. I did. So Universal has Halloween Horror Nights. And I've been to both the one in LA and the one in Orlando. Oh, and cool. I don't remember what year it was, but one year they did a Michael Myers themed like walkthrough haunted house experience, which for anyone who hasn't been to the Universal haunted houses, haunted house is a loose term because those parks are so crowded.
Oh,
that,
there you go.
Essentially, you're not really experiencing a haunted house as much as you're in a line that has a series of jump scares through a building is essentially how their haunted houses go, because they're literally just funneling people through like cattle, and then you've got various scary things to witness as you walk through and jump scares that happen. But it's not like a traditional haunted house experience in any other part of the country where you're like with your little group and the whole house resets each time. There's too many people, so you're just in a moving line.
It's kind of like if you've ever been to Disneyland and you go to Fantasyland and they've got like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and Peter Pan, right? It's kind of like you're on those little rides and you're going through and seeing dioramas in the same kind of way. Yeah.
And then there's very much actors who will jump out of closets, or there are lights that will flash and reveal people. So they still have like jump scares set up, but they'll have 15 Michael Myers through the building in various places. And so I did experience one of those that was specifically like a Halloween tribute, Michael Myers themed haunted house.
But you didn't get any of the references in it though.
Not at all.
It was just kind of like,
not a single one.
Wow. So you came into this
a spook,
which is, but you've never seen Halloween 2, Halloween Season of the Witch, Halloween 4, 5, 6, H2O,
you could
Resurrection.
Name a movie that doesn't exist in this list, and I would not know. If you're like Halloween,
you haven't seen Halloween Labyrinth?
Halloween Labyrinth. Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah,
Halloween, Michael Myers gets a haircut. No, I honestly love the fact that you've never seen any of the other ones, because that makes you the perfect person to comment on how the 40-year legacy sequel picked up where the original left off. Because that's the thing, if you have never seen a Halloween movie and you're watching the show, how did you find us? But if you haven't seen any Halloween movies and this is your first experience of it, the legacy sequel, the 2018 David Gordon Green directed legacy sequel, picks up 40 years after the first movie and pretends that Halloween 2 doesn't exist. Nor does it Halloween 3 obviously was where they were trying to make it into the franchise into an anthology, and there's no Michael Myers. It's the weird redheaded stepchild. That's a whole other show. That one is a whole other show. 4, 5, and 6 is the Thorn trilogy, where they do this weird retconning stuff with Michael Myers' backstory, and there's like supernatural elements, and it gets really dumb, and Paul Rudd ends up beating him up with a pipe. And
Paul Rudd's in the Halloween movies?
Paul Rudd is in the Halloween movies. Yes, he plays.
I didn't know
this.
The
boy, the little boy in the Halloween, the one that she's babysitting.
The very first one?
In the very first one, yeah. Older version of that little boy.
Tommy Doyle.
But Paul Rudd isn't blonde. The kid was blonde.
His hair got darker as he got older.
Sure.
Yeah. It's just Trust me, it's the Halloween franchise.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Oh, it gets worse, man. You know who else does horror? Busta Rhymes. He had a kung fu fight with Michael Myers in Halloween Resurrection. There's all kinds of weird entries in this franchise. Halloween H20, which is technically, I think, Halloween 7. They basically were like, nothing has happened since Halloween 2, and Jamie Lee Curtis is basically, it's kind of like a rough draft for the 2018 one, except that it ends and she's killed Michael Myers, but then you find out she hasn't killed Michael Myers. He set it up so that she'd think she killed him, but then the beginning of Resurrection, he shows up and kills her and finally kills Laurie Strode for the first time. And then
for the first time?
Yeah, he's never killed. She's
well, no, you say it as if there's a second time.
You know, it's like
there was in the director's cut, but that's a whole other story. I'm getting lost in the rabbit hole that is the Halloween franchise. The point is,
he hasn't even touched upon Rob Zombie. He hasn't even mentioned
real
Rob
quick
Zombie
side note
yet.
though, you said H20, and I promise you that during this whole process when we were watching this, because I did watch these with Sasha absolutely referred to that movie as Halloween H2O. Which
H2O.
I know
That's what I call it too. H2O.
Yeah,
is it
that's
H2O?
what I
a lot of people call it
so
that.
Funny.
Yeah,
it was the 20-year anniversary of the Halloween movie.
Yeah,
hence H20, but it's one of the like in the 90s there was a lot of really dumb movie title names like SES7N or 7 where they put a 7, the number 7 where the V was.
I
which
like
is just,
that one. That one's cool. That one's just thematic for the movie.
It's terrible.
Like that.
It's terrible. Just call the fucking movie 7. Why have the stupid numerology? It's the 90s. They did dumb things. They did dumb things. Like very extreme things with numbers and letters in that
there was
decade.
A lot of extremes.
Lot of extreme Halloween, extreme. But they did. Luckily, we didn't get that. But we did get a lot of dumb sequels to Halloween, and then Rob Zombie's remake of the original, and then the insane fever dream that was his Halloween 2. But the big thing about those movies, all of those movies that we just talked about, they had one thing in common. They kept Halloween and Halloween 2 especially as canon. And the big thing was that Laurie Strode was Michael's sister. And that was the big thing that this legacy sequel, the 2018 one, which we'll just refer to as 2018, that's the one that this changed. This one said, no, we're going back and we're going to start at the end of the original Halloween. And it's been 40 years since then. And nothing else has happened.
Out of it.
Yeah. They make a couple of jokes at the expense of a lot of other movies. But that being said, it's high time we do this because we're about to dive in deep to all of these movies. It's time for the spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert. All spoilers, including character deaths and plot twists, are now authorized. You have been warned.
Bam, bam, bam. There it is. We are in spoiler territory now. If you haven't seen Halloween, why are you listening to our show? What's going on? But if you haven't seen the 2018 Halloween, we are going to spoil it. Yeah, it could happen.
You're welcome. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Come on in.
No, we'll just go watch the movies and then come back and listen to us going forward because we're going to spoil the crap out of these movies. We're going to talk about everything, all of this stuff going forward, including getting into detail about plot points like the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis no longer playing Laurie Strode, Michael's sister. And so, Ryan, I figured you probably didn't know that particular plot point, that in Halloween 2, it's revealed that why Michael Myers is targeting Laurie is because she's really his long-lost half-stepsister.
I would
or whatever,
not have
half-sister,
known
stepsister, whatever.
If it weren't for the fact that Sasha has seen at least some of these. I know she's seen the Rob Zombie one for sure. And she because we talked about the fact that first off, the grave seems very small. So in the first movie, we're past spoiler warning. In the first movie, the grave's been robbed. And we were like, that's a very small grave. And I'm like, well, maybe she was cremated. And then she was like, well, maybe it's a baby or something. And then she's like, isn't there another sister? And she goes, oh, wait, that's the whole, like, Laurie's the sister thing.
Yeah.
And then we get to the new one and they make the joke about, like,
that's what someone just made up because it sounded cool.
Exactly.
Fuck you.
And it was like they make it. All the teenagers make a joke out of it, and she goes, and she specifically pointed out, like, oh, that's a reference to all the other movies where that is the case, because that's not the case in this one.
Well, and it's funny because the story behind that was that, the original Halloween made on a shoestring budget. It's the original indie movie, massive success horror movie. And after it was such a huge success, they immediately jumped on John Carpenter. All his producers were like, give us a sequel. Let's ride this money train. And he was like, okay. And wrote the sequel, Halloween 2, although he didn't direct it. He did write it. And he was like, I got to give a reason for Michael Myers to like still keep on coming back after Laurie. And he's like, she's his sister. Apparently he was drunk when he wrote it. He's like, I had a 6-pack. It sounded like a good idea at the time.
Drunken night of writing, just decided to make it happen. And I know from multiple different times I've heard it, I know that he was not happy making a sequel to it anyways. So it was kind of like a semi FU. Look at this total crazy plot point I'm going to throw into this whole storyline that now affected this franchise for decades.
Oh, it was the ripples are huge. And I want to come back to that point because I really do want to dial into the sister and her not being the sister and what that does to the story. But that's a good point, Dan, is that he didn't want to make a sequel. And the reason that Halloween 3 was an anthology and went to a totally different direction is because they wanted to make the franchise a different movie every Halloween that was about Halloween. Not about Michael Myers, but about Halloween. But people wanted Michael Myers. And so that's why we've got 45 years now of Michael Myers. So here's the big question, boys. How does the original movie hold up to the sequel, just in terms of production, in terms of a movie in and of itself? What do we think of the original movie versus the production values and the quality of this legacy sequel? Obviously, we've got 40 years difference in terms of production values and things that have been learned in terms of lighting and in terms of sound design and everything else. And Ryan, I know this is a peccadillo for you, so I'm going to get to you second.
No
Dan
worries.
March Madness. Dan March Madness, you are, I think, a little bit of a fan of the original Halloween.
A little bit.
What was your initial reaction? How do you compare the original Halloween to the legacy sequel?
Well, when you look back at the original, you can feel that there was a shoestring budget. Like you can feel the low budgetness of it. There's a lot of just camera with our characters, like living scenes, like scenes do draw out. It's just kind of like this real life sort of moments where there's not a lot happening. There's 3 characters, a camera, and it goes on for 15 minutes. They're just walking around the neighborhood and talking, so you can feel that there is budget constraints there and it's low budget, but it also, I think that's like the draw to it, is that it makes you feel like you are right there with the girls. Like you're just kind of living that life with them, so that when this weird dude starts stalking them and showing up and over, it just feels like the dread starts creeping in. And even though it is very indie, what they do is fantastic. You can see the cinematographer that Fred Condy, is that who shot it? Or
no, it was Dean Cundy. Dean Cundy,
yeah,
the legend Dean Cundy, who worked with John Carpenter on a bunch of his movies, including The Thing, The Fog, Escape from New York, and he didn't do They Live, but he did do Big Trouble in Little China. And then he went to work with Zemeckis on the Back to the Future trilogy.
Wow.
And Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And then he went to work with Spielberg on Hook and Jurassic Park.
Jeez.
So
there you go.
Dean Cundy, very good cinematographer.
Like you already see the levels there. Like I love the use of shadows in this movie and reflections, and how how Michael is like there, then he's not there. The timing, the pacing, the blocking. Carpenter's a master at blocking, and you can already see it here in this early work. And so when you see this, when you see the second one, and I'm very curious actually to hear Ryan's side too, because he's so new only seeing these two. But when you see what they did, this was the movie where I was like, oh my God, they finally got the feeling of Halloween again. Like I felt like I was, even though it looked cleaner, it looks more polished. It's shot on higher end cameras. We've aged 40 years of technology. It still had that feel. Like it still felt very like gritty. It felt like real. It felt like lived in. There's a couple scenes that are a bit theatrical, I would definitely say. Especially there's the opening sequence that can get a bit over the top, but when I remember watching it in theaters, I feel like I'm watching the original. Like, this has the same feeling again. So I think that they did a fantastic job of updating it for the 2018 one to look, like it's new, but also to feel like the original did.
So you do think that there is a connection there in terms of production value?
Absolutely.
Ryan, okay, it's your turn, Ryan. Go to town. The original Halloween versus the remake, or the legacy sequel. What did you think?
So it's hard not to give away the whole game here, but I'm just gonna go for it in terms of my thoughts, right? I think that the first movie is cheesy as shit, but it is better written and I think a better movie.
Ooh.
Whereas the newer one is like the cinematography's better, which, granted, to our point, it's got 40 years to learn, it's got better technology, like it looks better shot to shot, I think, than the first one. And I think that, like, overall the writing, the actual events and like the dialogue is better, but the decision making is horrendous at times. And I'm like, why are these people making the decision making is so bad? But what's funny is I actually like the second one a little bit more than the first one, despite all of that. And I think it's interesting because, to Dan's point, I don't think anyone would be surprised to say that these movies live and die on Michael Myers. Michael Myers is essentially the movie, and then Laurie Strode is great, but also I think ultimately an accessory to Michael Myers' story, right? Michael Myers is what drives everything. And I think that both of them do a great job of making Michael Myers scary and making Michael Myers seem beyond human, like the supernatural, creepy stalker element of Michael, I think, is done well in both films. But yeah, they just do it differently. And like, there's pros and cons to each. And ultimately, I think that there's like some major differences, but I do think they both do a good job, and it still feels like Halloween. Like, I do feel like it did, to Dan's point, it feels like a modern telling of the original story. It does feel in some ways a little bit reductive in the sense that it has to take from the original, and like, in order to be in line, it can't be as unique. But like, I do think they did a pretty good job overall.
Yeah, you do. So you feel like they did actually capture, both of you guys sound like you feel like they captured the feeling of the original. And it's interesting that you said that the cinematography is better in the new one. Was that because of the colors or the framing, or like what about the cinematography captivated you more than the original?
I think, honestly, I think it's probably just a product of the fact that we have better cameras and we have more adept, like, learnings of cinematography as well. I think the first one's, that's not a slam on the first one. I think the first one's shot very well, but it's a lot drier of a film. There's a lot of like, we're looking across the street from the same angle over the course of 20 minutes with different assets in it. And like, to be fair, they use that very effectively, the way that they add and subtract elements for creep factor. But I think there's a lot more like interesting and subtle stuff done in the modern one compared to the first one. The first one has some very cool reveals and some very cool like stalkery stuff in corners and things. But you're a lot less likely to miss something in the first one. Whereas in the second one, there are things hidden in places that you very much, I feel like, can miss as you're watching, at least in my opinion. That's crazy. I had a very different experience. I had almost the exact opposite experience where I always find more things in the background of the first one, and the second one I feel is very much on the sleeve. But Dan, what are your thoughts? What did you think about what Ryan just said? Do you feel like the first one, the cinematography, is worse than the new one?
Wow, it's so funny how I'm just thinking the exact opposite of Ryan right now. Because
let's go.
Because I made a note. You know what was great is, like, I mean, no joke. I do every Halloween. I do watch Halloween. And then I do try to follow it with 2018's Halloween. Since it's come out, so I've seen this a lot. So rewatching it, I realized that like I was appreciating the first one's cinematography so much and like missing film. There's, like this has become, this is like, if you look at social media, there's such a huge complaint within the filmmaking community of this Netflix effect of like everything is being seen, like every director, the background blur, or that everybody like they shoot at this depth of like this so that you can see everything, like everything is well lit, everything's so bright, and people are afraid of the shadows now. And like that's what is so great about film, is it can really get those deep dark blacks. And when I think it's PJ Souls, the blonde girl, totally,
yes,
and Lori are walking down. When you first are meeting like them as friends, you're hearing their conversation, and they're in complete black, like in this hallway, but you're hearing them talk, and it just felt so real. And it was like that little tiny bit of a moment where I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying the cinematography in this film. And then if you just keep watching it, like I love how he just, it's similar to, did he shoot with the fog too? Did or not?
Yeah, Condi shot the fog. Yeah.
So those wide frames that he chooses, but especially at night,
Panavision,
Halloween night,
yeah.
when Michael is like stalking and from house to house, and you just see these large shots, and there's so much black shadows, and I just found myself, and I've seen this movie dozens of times, and you're just constantly looking for Michael's white mask to just kind of pop out of the shadow, pop out, like where is he, and that's and I don't feel like you get that. You don't get that in the 2018 one. They get close, but I think that I do prefer the cinematography of the original over the 2018.
If there's one shot that I think for me kind of is the iconic shot of the first movie, it's that amazing, the inky pools of blackness, Dan, you brought them up, that are in this movie. And there's the shot where she's found her friends dead, and she stumbles against the wall next to a closet. And Michael's face just appears.
That is the best shot in the film.
Blackness. It's fucking sick. And he just threw a little blue light in there for Nick Castle to step into. And so it just kind of, it's like he appears out of nothing. And they do a callback to that shot that is completely unearned in the 2018 one at the very end, where Jamie Lee Curtis comes out of the blackness in the wall, in the door behind Michael at the very end. Her face goes and pops up, and it's just like a floating little head, like the beginning of House on Haunted Hill. And she just goes, "Happy Halloween, Michael." And then, comes out. And they tried, but it's just, that's such an organic shot in the first one, and they couldn't quite capture the magic of that. Because
isn't that also a little, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but wasn't that come from a bit of an accident too? Like, weren't they having trouble like figuring out what to do with him in that space, and then that's when they kind of came up with the idea? I feel like that's what's really cool about these iconic movies that we are now like, that we grow, like Jaws being a great example about the shark not working. So like now it's iconic, but it's like these little issues that come up in filmmaking are now these things that we remember, which is fantastic. Like, it's so cool. Like that's an issue that they were having. This little trouble is like, okay, this is how I'm going to light him. And it becomes like one of the most things that we remember, and one of the most iconic moments in horror history too.
Well, to tie that in with one of the other episodes that we've recently done, Guillermo del Toro, in like a bunch of interviews after Frankenstein, was talking about how you can plan a movie up, down, and sideways. And he says, but at the point that you go to film with the movie, the mistakes aren't mistakes. They are the mistakes are the movie. It is the journey that you go on. And honestly, ironically, the one that I always think of, I think we referenced on the show before, I don't remember if it was in one of our extendeds or not, but Baby Driver, which is not a horror movie, but it does tie into this episode.
I hear it. I see where you're tying
They have a scene where they do a robbery, and they all wear Mike Myers masks. And the reason that they wear that is because they wanted to have Michael Myers mask, but they couldn't get the rights. So they made it a joke in the movie that they pull out Mike Myers, the Austin Powers comedian actor Mike Myers, and he goes, "What the hell hell, man, I told you to get Michael Myers mask. I did, man. I got Mike Myers mask. That's not Michael Myers. This is Mike Myers. Whatever. Yeah. And they just go in. But it's hilarious. And it's one of the most iconic moments of the movie. And it's frankly one of the only things I remember years after watching it of like I remember the plot. I remember, but like specific moments, that's like one of the stand-up moments of that movie. And it was completely because they were like, we have to do something and we can't get the rights to the thing that we wrote.
And it's a really telling thing because, you know, it's been talked about a billion times if it's once, but the Michael Myers mask came about as kind of like let's make something happen. He needs to wear a mask. What the fuck is he going to wear? Tommy Lee Wallace goes down to a costume shop, picks out a shitty William Shatner Star Trek mask, and then paints it white, melts it down a little bit, and you have the iconic Mike Myers mask, right?
Crazy.
And here now, this legacy sequel, 2018, it was like a goddamn science experiment to make the masks. They made three hero masks for this movie. And they were like experimenting on latex to see how it would age over 40 years. And they had like padding inside to make sure that they had the right eye depth for every scene to give the proper kind of like expressions for each scene. Like there was so much like detail paid on it, and it's like, okay, but in the original they didn't do any of that, and look what we got.
Yeah,
right. So it is kind of crazy how I will
say I'm going to fight you on this a little bit. Maybe
let's go chew on it, baby.
Is that look at what happened to the mask in the sequels and how they butchered it and how it became a joke. Like you look at some of the other movies and they didn't get it right. Maybe they didn't have the rights to make it as they did, but it looks ridiculous. Even in H2O, like if you look at H2O, it's laughable.
It's so bad
what they had to do with the mask. And so like,
and
I get that it's like they spent probably too much. Maybe they put too much effort into like, okay, we're bringing back the mask, but I think they had to get it right because they didn't want it to become a joke again. Because if you look at those side by sides of the mask, how it's aged from movie to movie, from Halloween to Halloween, it's like, woo, it gets super silly.
So that actually is a great transition, Dan, because one thing I want to talk about with these two movies is the idea of overthinking. And I want to ask if after 40 years and the amount of kind of history and legacy, pardon the pun, that is in this franchise, and we come across a legacy sequel, do we feel like they overthought it to get this particular sequel? Because there were other movies in the franchise where they overthought the Michael Myers mask or the characters, or like, we have to explain why he's supernatural, right? And so let's make him, you know, he's the result of a blood cult or blood, this druidic cult has like a blood magic that, you know, they have to kill their own family and mate with their family and blah, 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 blah. And they overthought it and it becomes stupid. One of the things I would argue is the magic of the original is the simplicity, is the fact that it is just bone thin, dry, as you say, Ryan, cold. It has this austerity to it. And I don't think any of the Halloween movies since have been able to capture that purity, for lack of a better word. Do we feel like they overthought too much with this legacy sequel, or did they hit that balance right? Ryan, did you find like they hit that balance the first one had, or do you think I'm crazy by even saying that?
No, but I think to your point, the challenge becomes that we kind of hearkened to it a little bit earlier in terms of the first one's unique because it's never been done before. And we have the scale established of like, okay, he's going to kill some neighborhood babysitters and like whoever happens to be on this block. And that's the movie. And then if you do that again, and that's the essence of your scale, you haven't gained anything. There's nothing new to tell. And so they have this, well, we have to progress it in some way. And almost to, I guess, the detriment of the series, 40 years of time and however many sequels that have done however many iterations of different things, they have to try and figure out like, okay, how do we get this back to roots and still have it be an escalation, but not have it be such a parallel to the original that it no longer feels grounded. And I think they do a decent job for the most part in terms of he is back in the neighborhood. He is mostly killing just random citizens. I think he does kill more people. And I think that obviously we have the whole like Laurie fortress aspect that comes into play, which is a separate topic, and I will leave for us to delve into because I'm sure we'll get to that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that the sequel, I guess, the remake, the relaunch, the
sequel,
2018
the legacy
movie,
sequel, yeah,
it keeps Michael in the same ballpark of Michael's fairly like he's just as supernatural as he was before, other than I think in this one he takes a gunshot to the head and just shrugs it off. So that one's a little.
Just wait until the sequels to this sequel. It was a trilogy, and it just gets dumber. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he does take a gunshot in the first one that I don't remember if it's to the head or not.
He takes 6 shots to the chest.
Yeah, but is the first one to his head? Does the doctor hit him in the head the first time? I don't remember.
In
the hallway
he might have winged him.
Falls in.
Well, he took a bunch of headshots. He got what? He got stabbed in the neck. He got poked in the eye.
Yeah. Like it's very evident this guy isn't a normal man by definition in either movie. And so like I don't really think that they go too crazy with Michael in terms of like debasing him from one to the other. I think that it's done pretty well. Like, he goes back to the neighborhood, he kills a bunch of people in the neighborhood, and really that's essentially in essence the same thing. We're just adding more stakes in terms of like now he's killing police officers. We've got the doctor play, which in the first one the doctor isn't around until the very end anyway, and then he just kind of vanishes. Whereas in this one, okay, now we've got the doctor involved. So like we add some elements, but to Michael, a person's a person, and a knife is a knife, and a heartbeat is something to be stopped. Like I don't think that it's that far off.
No, but I think that also leads me to the question of with these movies and with the idea of overthinking. And this is kind of like the trajectory I was going on it. John Carpenter had to come up with a sequel really quickly, and his maybe not overthinking, but his idea was, okay, escalation. Michael's after his sister, right? That's the big thing, and everyone's like, oh, great, cool. We'll go with that for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
And this movie, John Carpenter famously didn't really get along with Rob Zombie and didn't like his vision, and that they've apparently buried the hatchet now. But that movie was like, let's really psychoanalyze Michael. Let's see him as a kid, and then let's see him grow up, and let's really psychoanalyze him. And then these movies, this trajectory was, no, we don't. If you try to analyze Michael, you'll go insane or you'll be wrong. Everyone's trying to psychoanalyze Michael in this, and everyone's wrong. Even Laurie Strode in this is saying, oh, he's coming for me, when everything else in the story is saying, no, he's like a bird who sees a thing of some sort of mouse, like he just goes after it.
Yeah, right? He's the zombie at the beginning of the Dawn of the Dead remake.
I mean, that's
right.
That's
he's
he's
a predator, exactly.
But that's what I love about the first one too. Is that when you rewatch it again and again, is that it's just like Laurie was just dropping off the keys at the house.
She was just there.
The reason why she is then becomes the focus of this whole thing. Like, I think that there's a part of like this girl here is trying to take my home. Is like she's a part of like this home that I want to return to is going to be taken away. I must take her out, and anybody else that might do that from
or who knows what his rationale. The point is that
that's the closest you could get to maybe a rationale.
Right.
But, to be quite honest, it's like you said, person's there, get them. Person there, get them.
And that was the thing but do they accomplish that in this sequel? If their whole purpose is we're going to undo Laurie as the sister. We're going to undo that and make Michael into a force of nature, just a predator who goes after any prey that's in his way. Do they accomplish that? Because there's so many more characters in this. He's walking down the street. One of my favorite parts of the movie is when he's first unleashed on Haddonfield, and he just starts randomly walking into the houses and killing people. He walks into the house and he kills one with a hammer and then goes, "Ooh, look, a knife." Which, by the way, why does everyone have a knife just hanging out?
Yeah.
Like everyone's just
big giant butcher knives.
You guys, well, I mean, it's realistic. Everyone has a butcher knife hanging out. Like you guys have butcher knives there right now, don't you?
Yeah,
just right there.
In
your kitchen,
here,
not right now.
In my hand.
Why not? You're not prepared?
For who?
I don't. Come on, you never know, man.
Oh, look at my God!
You never know.
That's a
you
good
gotta
one.
be
That's
prepared.
That's a good one.
But
I love the fact that the entire episode that's been sitting there waiting for that moment.
He was ready. He was waiting. He was waiting for
that episode. It's always there. It's always just, you never know. My point is that scene when he's walking around Haddonfield, I love that because he's going in the house and just randomly killing the shit out of people, right? And no one knows he's there. Everyone's walking around outside and no one knows he's there. He's just kill. That's the closest they got to the feeling.
But he'll leave a baby. That one was odd.
What was your thinking?
Right.
What do you guys think about the baby? I wanted to ask
and he'll kill a dog.
That.
He'll kill a dog in the original too.
Not just one dog. Hold on. John Carpenter hates dogs. This is on my notes. John Carpenter hates dogs. And here's my logic. First off, The Thing. How many dogs die in that scene in The Thing? Great.
Like a dozen dogs.
A dozen dogs, right? And then we shoot a dog. We have a dog torn to flesh bits.
Oh my God.
And then we go to the original Halloween. We only see two dogs. We only see one dog. We see one dog in the whole movie. That dog not only gets choked to death on camera, but then we hear about another dog off camera who's been eaten.
Yeah. He was hungry.
John Carpenter's a cat guy. I'm just saying. This guy must hate dogs.
True.
You know, if there's one thing I know about John Carpenter, it's probably that he's absolutely a cat guy. I'm not even going to look it up. I'm going to guess that he absolutely is.
I think it taps into that, like, ear tapping into man's best friend. You take out a dog, like, that bothers that's many evil. People when they kill the dog in a movie.
It bothers me. I'm immediately like, fuck that guy.
The entire franchise of John Wick was because of a dog death, you know? Right. So it's like, you know, like, it is.
Michael Myers, it gets my Guy Woodhouse fuck that guy award in the first Halloween for killing the dog.
Yeah.
Full stop. Like everything else that he does, it's evil. Sure, yeah, kill some babysitters. That's light work. You kill the dog, you're an asshole. But we're getting away from what I was really talking about here.
Did they?
The force of nature.
I think they did. I think they still captured the force of nature, and I think that's why I really enjoy this 2018 one so much. Is that it did go back to what John Carpenter wanted Michael Myers to be, what he wanted the shape to be. It's just this like force of nature, this evil that comes in. Like, I love, you know, I think that the scene with Laurie where she sees Michael for the first time kind of staring at her from outside, and they do a callback in the 2018, but like where you know, the message of fate not being religious, fate being this natural thing of this world where you're like drawn to this person. You know, you know, all these elements led Laurie to Michael on that Halloween night, and they build upon that in 2018 of them needing to come together. But it's a lot of the, you know, it's a lot of the influence of the doctor pushing that to make that happen.
And that's actually how I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you on that, because you're saying that they show that fate is at work here, that he is a force of nature, but they do it story-wise in the terms of the writing of the movie in such just arbitrary, cartoonish ways where he's just wandering around the neighborhood killing people, and he's just wherever they need him to be at any given time, which is fine. That's slasher 101. But then the whole arc for how he gets to Laurie's house is so fucking ludicrous, right? And it's I don't think that it's done wittily enough to make it so that you go, I see. It's ironic that she thinks that he has once again come to her, because he in no way did this himself. This was just, you know, chances of fate, because they do like the doctor going insane and like, I really want to know why Michael kills. That's what it feels like, Michael. Give me your mask. No, I have to make sure that he gets to Laurie. That is such a awful plot device, I think. And it's one of the biggest weaknesses of this movie is that they have to use a gigantic plot device, like piece of shit like that, in order to get him to Laurie, to make that randomness, if you will, work. Because the whole point is that it's supposed to be okay. You take away the sister aspect, now it has to be random. And so I would argue that they don't do a good enough job of showing how this is a force of nature. Like if lightning strikes you a couple times, fine. But then having a character run in and be like, I'm going to give you a big piece of metal to hold in the lightning storm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, where'd this fucking guy come from? That doesn't make it fate. That makes it something else.
But so then maybe that's what they were trying to do then, is that like build off of the idea of fate bringing them together. But then if you tempt fate, if you try to control it, if you try to will it, you can't control, you know, like the doctor this was the doctor's plan. Like he wanted to set Michael free to let him unleash and go after Lori that night.
His plan was dumb. His plan
stupid.
was
yes. I agree. It made no sense. Like to like on a bus, like make this thing happen just to like unleash him. You know, but like that was kind of like the
podcasters randomly being at the gas station that Michael tore apart, and he can get his mask back from, and he knows that they have his mask.
There's a lot of convenience, definitely.
A lot of convenient stuff. And Ryan, that's why I want to get your opinion on this. Do you feel like the new movie did a good job of if their whole idea was he can't be Laurie's brother because it's all about causality, it's all about fate, and it's all about kind of the randomness of tragedy and violence. Do you feel that they did a good job of making that point, of making that be a theme in the 2018 legacy sequel? There we go.
Well, I think that the Doctor is in the moment, it's a cool twist. I do think that it complicates that narrative, but also I think, to your point, nobody really knows. You said yourself, no one really understands Michael. Like that could be just a mistake of like the Doctor thinks that he gets it and he doesn't. And we do kind of see Michael go from person to person to person to person to person and just kind of end up back at Laurie's, other than, I think, the bridge from the police car to Laurie's fortress is just kind of like, that has to be a forced thing. Like there's no logical tie there other than the whole make Laurie important. But again, I don't think that a lot of the decisions in this new movie are as well written or naturalistic as the first movie. I think in general, there's a lot of dumb stuff that happens in the new movie.
So agreed.
Just kind of like a couple that I wrote down.
Let's go.
First off, the granddaughter runs into the field of mannequins and screams. End of scene. No.
End of scene.
Michael doesn't.
I'm scared.
Michael doesn't come into the mannequin field. Nobody hears her. We just have a random scream for no reason. Yeah. Laurie, who has been preparing for this for 40 years.
Just say
has thought through everything. Well, there's a bunch of things, but first off, you have a bunch of locks on your door, but your door has glass panels on it.
Glass windows. What the fuck? And you're gonna, and you're prepared for 40 years for a man to attack you, and you're gonna like put your head close to the door.
But that's not all, folks.
That's true.
What about,
let's go.
I've made the basement. So I like at the beginning, we're like, okay, the basement's a safe house, right? Like we've established that the basement's a safe house. And then he's in the house, and they're in the safe house. And first, she fires through the floorboards and completely blows their cover of the safe house. No reason to do so. No reason at all. Fires through the floor, reveals your location. Second, you're in the safe house. You are safe. There's only one entrance to the safe house. I need to finish this. Push off your daughter and enter the house of the ambush predator, who his entire MO is that he is the best ambush predator on the planet in this series. He is a superhuman ambusher, and you're going to leave your one place where you cannot be ambushed and go around your house and shut all of these things, which, like, on the one hand, sure, you're trying to lock, like if the whole thing, you realize the thing's a trap, you're trying to lock down different rooms of the house to either force him or lock him in those rooms. All those rooms have windows. He could get out anyway.
What the fuck? You put the lock on the door.
Windows. Yeah, they
got windows. We don't see the locks go out. Anything go down the windows?
Not a single thing. Also, he has all these floodlights. Only lights the front. Sides are totally dark. Like
the entire front porch is in the darkness.
Yep. Nothing on the porch either. Sasha specifically caught that one. And so she goes through this whole thing, and then we finally get to the thing. It's like, oh, the basement's a trap. It's a big cage.
It's really a cage.
Which, like, to be fair, super cool. And second off, I think leads to the best shot in the movie, which is the moment.
Him looking up.
The minute that the fire flares, you can see his eyes through the mask for like half a second.
His one remaining eye.
Oh, dude, the eyes lighting up. Brilliant moment. I was like, that shot makes the movie. And that's the thing, is there's a bunch of dumb stuff that happens in that whole sequence.
There's not just a bunch of dumb stuff.
I still like
Ryan, Oh God, which is so hypocritical of you, because so many movies you've taken points away because you've nitpicked something that's
they're
as bad as this stuff.
Written. It's entertaining as shit.
Yeah, I forgive it for good. What it's trying to do. I definitely am much more forgiving for this scene because I really like this third act of 2018.
Oh.
I really enjoy this kind of cat and mouse. I also thought the same thing too. Like, she shoots through the floor, super stupid. Like, why?
Dumb.
Like, you just got down there. Why did you do that? He's not trying to get you. Like, I thought that was dumb. But just, like, you're asking, why is she going back up? And then once it pays off that, like, this is all meant to be a trap, is try to bring him there. Like, it's just it's a very cool device. It's a very cool, like, they're trying to use the idea of the trap being a metaphor for a bigger theme, I think, of what they're saying with this movie. And so I'm very I think it's very entertaining.
How is the trap a bigger? Yes, you see, it's the power of the woman. It's like vagina dentata. He has been drawn inside her, and then it snaps closed.
No,
and he's trapping him with her womanly power. What kind of bigger theme is going on here?
There's a definite theme here of that. If the first movie is a lot more about I think that, like, evil is very scary because, there's times that you can't explain it. And that's what's frightening, is that when you can't explain why there's evil, you can't pinpoint why it's there. And especially, it's very smart that this movie, that Halloween, the original, takes place in the suburbs where, these people thought that they were safe. They could escape from the city, live in the suburbs, will be safe. And this evil, this unknown force, for no reason, is just now going and killing kids through the neighborhood on this Halloween night.
And also, Dan, I want to jump on that really quickly. I just want to say, like, the counterpoint to that is that it's also pointing out that in the suburbs, there's always that one house where something bad happens and everyone talks about it, right? There's this little undercurrent of suburban folklore, right? Yes, so the suburbs are so safe until they're not. Right. So it's both of those things, but I'm sorry, continue.
No, and then if that's what the first one is about, then what I really loved about the second one, and speaking back to what the third act means, is that it's really talking about trauma, and not only generational trauma, but just trauma of decades of trauma, of what it can do to a person, and I think this did come out around the time of, like, the Me Too movement, and I remember they were comparing a lot of the storyline to that movement and to give women voices, and that was a big thing that Jamie Lee Curtis loved about this new take on the character.
But it wasn't the original take.
No, it wasn't the original take, but it was interesting to see what would happen to her. Like, I like this, even though I think the podcasters are kind of ridiculous characters, but the scene where they're talking to her and they're kind of unveiling her life was very, it was sad, like, because she in this one night, this serial killer took out all of her friends, and this is how it completely affected her life. This is who she became. Like, she couldn't have a relationship. She ruined this relationship with her daughter, pushed her daughter away, turned it herself, basically made, like, her own home a prison, the way that Michael is now in a prison. She, like, put herself into her own prison. It was just, I think there was a lot of really interesting things that they were, kind of bringing up and putting on to Laurie for what could happen to a person dealing with this kind of trauma 40 years after it occurred.
My counter argument is they tried to do that, but I don't think that they landed the plane. I think that they had all of the framework of that, but they had the framework of a lot of stuff in this. They had a lot of things that they wanted to say about generational trauma, but I don't think that they ever actually really said anything about it. It just was kind of there. Oh, there's generational trauma, but they didn't really say anything about it. Repressed familial strife and conflicts. It's there, but they don't really say anything about it. The randomness of violence, staring into the abyss, the nature of causality, obsession versus, focused achievement, the victim mentality versus survivor mentality, the nature of human fear and how it's based on actual dangers, the societies of the podcasters, the obsession with violence and the perpetrators and victims of crimes. All of these are things that the movie wants to say something about or wants to do something with, but it never does anything. They're ideas that just are there and they flicker and then they go away. And the end of the movie was reshot because initially they were going to have Laurie fight Michael on the lawn and he was going to kill her. And then she was going to shoot him in the chest. He was going to walk away in the forest and die sitting against a tree. And it was a shitty ending. And so, of course, they had to rewrite it into the one that they have, which I think is solid. I think the idea of, the execution, I think, sucks. As you said, Ryan, it's dumb as hell. All of the things about her house. You had 40 fucking years, and this is your brilliant plan.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was absolutely horrific what they had Laurie do, and you wanted us to say, "Oh yeah, good for Laurie. Look what she did." It's like you wasted your life, girl.
Well,
if this was your big thing, but at the end, you had the three of them standing over the pit, looking down at Michael as he burns and then disappears. That's good stuff. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't bring to a close any of these big ideas that they started trying to throw out there in this movie. None of those ideas go anywhere. They just are kind of there and then they're gone.
I do think to Ian's point, really the only one that we see have any sort of meat to their trauma that matters to the story is Laurie, because we have this whole give and take with her daughter of she's got this thing with the basement and it's all this repressed stuff, and we reference it a bunch, but really the only moment that we really see that happen is when she does have to go in the basement with Michael's there, and it's this half second oh no, the basement, and then she goes in, and we don't really get any payoff for any of that really matters. And then ironically, we have the granddaughter who kind of rejects all of the trauma anyway, and it's just I don't want to deal with any of the politics. I just want to talk to my grandma and have a family relationship, which I think honestly plays more off of Laurie's trauma than anything else, but honestly counteracts the whole generational trauma motif of.
But she wants to have a relationship with her, but then the second that grandma comes to the family dinner and then makes an ass of herself, then she doesn't want to talk to her anymore. She's like, oh, she let me down too. It's they let that go.
Well, it's. I think in general, the trauma motif is very messy and not done well. And I think there's a lot of things. I think the problem is there's a lot of it that isn't really done well, but it's still a good popcorn movie. Of I gotta hit some of these. First off,
hit it.
Game of Thrones lighting in all of her wandering through the house in the dark. Both Laurie's allergic to lights in both movies. She's in a lot of dark houses where she doesn't turn on the lights.
Yeah,
but we can't see Laurie in her death
house. But
yet
you said the cinematography was better in that movie. When in the original, you can always see where people are.
One, I think you can see better in the first movie. That doesn't mean, I think that the cinematography of most scenes, but this is an exception.
Lighting is cinematography.
Yes, I'm talking about one scene of a 2-hour movie. But
all the rest is high contrast primary colors. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
I like it. It's pretty. Laurie hates knives, dudes. In the first movie, there's 3 different points.
Why did she throw them away so many times?
She ditches the knife so many times.
Every time.
She literally gets it and she throws it. And then they go upstairs and it happens again and she throws it. And first off, if we're going to talk about any dumb thing in either of the movies, I think the dumbest thing out of both movies is the fact that Michael misses stabbing her the first time when he's got the complete drop on Laurie and just manages to skin her arm. He is the most tactical machine of a killing thing in all of this, and he has the complete drop on her and he goes and just gets her on the shoulder.
Well, to be fair, he'd taken a needle to the neck and was feeling woozy from loss of blood.
Yeah, he gets shot later. He kills a bunch of people. Anyway, Laurie hates knives. Also, Michael Myers apparently has a magical ability to change to heavy stomping, intimidating man when he's close to things for stalking terror purposes. But then anytime that people aren't directly next to him, he's the silent creeper.
He's
silent
like a cat.
Yes. He has big stompy footsteps when the camera's looking at his feet. But any other time, he's completely silent.
Oh, he's Darth Vader. He's Darth Vader sometimes, where he's heavy breathing,
so good.
And then other times he's, as you say, he's completely silent. It is ridiculous. But by the way, you think that he changes who he is in this movie? If you were to see the 2 sequels to this 2018 movie, holy shit. You see Michael turn into an absolute tank. He kills half the town in the middle of the street. Ridiculous. People are stabbing him and shooting him and kicking him and bludgeoning him, and he kills everyone.
the way that Halloween Kills even opens out of with the firefighters is insane.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
I think honestly, the first one does a really good job of making him seem human, but just beyond human. I think anything beyond that, it gets really hard to make it not just like this is not a man. But one thing
on that point though, like I want to talk about that because really quickly though, we got to get going. We're going here. There's a lot to talk about. We knew it was gonna be a monster episode, but is the idea of balance is that the first one is just that knife edge balance where he's just beyond human, but he's still human. He's fixated, but he's not. It's not like it has to be her and only her. He's kind of like, as you said, Dan. He's kind of finding his way, but it's not as arbitrary and stupid as is in the 2018 one where they're just making shit up to get him somewhere. It's such a fine balance, and they've never really nailed it like the first movie. Is he human? Is he superhuman? How strong is he? How many people could he take out at one time? And this movie, I think, just goes just on the other side of it, to your point, Ryan.
I think, it does escalate a little bit. And it's tough not to do that, I think, but I do think that it's part of what makes Michael so terrifying is that he is still grounded as a man, but that you then have these moments where he still sits up, and you've got those inhuman holy shit moments.
The sit up
is so good.
The sit up.
Also, I think this is something I just got to point out that I thought was cool. That really is apropos of nothing in terms of Michael, but just the beginning of the second movie. The way I don't know if this was intentional, if this was completely by chance, but the fact that you start with Universal and you're doing this big global view, and then you have Miramax over the city, and then you have Blumhouse in the house,
in the little room,
and then we go into the story, almost like you're zooming in to Haddonfield.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
I have I highly doubt that was intentional, but it was just fun. I caught it and I was like, that's so sick though.
Yeah.
It's
completely
just so funny because totally different than the first one. Mustafa Akkad presents, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's so independent. And now you have gigantic companies all behind this movie.
But then they do the opposite. Then they kind of undermine it with the whole we're going to blow up the balloon pumpkin. Oh, it's a pumpkin that's from the original. Look, it's coming back. It's de-aging the pumpkin.
I thought that was a cool shot. And they've done a lot of... They've got a lot of different
each other this episode.
But that was real. That was
real. They really did
decomposed. They filmed the pumpkin decomposing and they reversed it.
I just thought it was dumb.
Oh my God.
I noticed I really liked the opening of the 2018 movie, but this time I really noticed how Arkham Asylum they really made, especially the chessboard shot at the Dutch angle and the penguin looking dude with the with the umbrella. I was like, is he a Batman villain?
And then what was up with the direction in that scene? Or look at the mask, Michael. Yeah. Look at it. Say something.
I honestly, you mentioned before that they have all these things that they're trying to say and they just never say anything, and I feel like that's just so appropriate because
so appropriate. Say something.
Say something.
I wish the movie,
guys.
Let's come on.
We haven't hit.
Let's go. Okay. One more gripe. And then we're gonna see.
We gotta go.
We're gonna say.
Okay, you guys know sound. Okay.
Okay. Oh,
what
is it what I think it is?
What the hell are these podcasters walking around with their stupid Zoom recorder, driving around like I'm recording the best part of my podcast right now? And he's got a Zoom recorder here. She's walking around with headphones, just in the most echoey of rooms, not even near the doctor. Just yep, this sounds great. I'm walking through the most echoey outside area. This is going to be great for the podcast. These award-winning podcasters walking around with a Zoom, just pointing it like nothing, idiots. That's my.
But that's the question. Right? We have an award on this show for someone who we just could not fucking stand in the movie, and it's the Guy Woodhouse Fuck That Guy Award. Michael Myers gets mine for the original Halloween. Dan, would you say that the podcasters get it for the 2018 one for you?
Oh. Yeah, let's get it for the podcast. I mean, because honestly, if this
fucking
dude
podcasters.
This guy steals, basically sneaks out evidence from a serial killing scene and is like, I'm just gonna show this to the murderer and like see if I can get a rise from him. And basically, like he could feel the mask. I mean, like you got dogs barking once you expose this mask. Like everybody's going crazy. The world is like, I don't know. I guess they're saying the mask is a little magical, but I mean, yeah, the podcasters, but that one dude's head became his weapon. Basically, he was smashing his face.
He got his.
In that
he got his.
Man,
he might be your choice for This Is Why You Died. Ryan, who do you got on the Fuck That Guy award for the show?
Oh, I got one for each.
Oh, yeah, okay. Say one for Halloween.
Annie, the friend.
Annie, come on.
She's not a good friend, guys. She's mean to Lori. She sucks. She's only in it for sex. She's rude to the kid. She's a bad babysitter. She dies in this really cheesy, choking.
Oh, no, dude. I love that. That was so good. But anyway,
Annie sucks.
Going.
No.
Annie? No way.
And then Cameron in the new movie. The boyfriend.
Oh, the boyfriend.
Oh, the boyfriend.
He's such a douche.
Yeah, he's a dick.
What an absolute asshole. You're going to kiss another woman in front of your date, and then you're going to not only backtrack it, you're going to then be a dick to her to get yourself out of trouble and throw her phone in pudding. You suck. Worse.
Yeah.
Cameron is
well,
a dick.
then you do need to see the sequel because he does come back and he gets his spoilers. But
Deserved.
I gotta take issue with you being mad at Annie, man. Annie's my girl. I love her.
The
married to Tommy Lee Wallace. Married to the production designer, by the way. That actress.
Oh,
the other friend's way nicer. Actually,
if you want to know some more trivia, actually actor trivia in the new movie, the friend who was babysitting the kid who gets killed upstairs in the closet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the blonde.
Remember her?
Yes.
Linda.
Yes, the blonde. Virginia Gardner, who you might recognize from the movie Fall, which we did on this show.
Yes.
She was the crazy friend who dragged her up the pole in that movie.
Right. She
also,
did. Wow.
Also, her boyfriend was played by by Miles Robbins, who is the son of Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon. And was also in a really cool movie called Daniel Isn't Real a couple years afterwards.
I mixed up which blonde died upstairs. I thought you were talking about the original, not the new. Linda's the new.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the new one.
I was like, how could she be in Fall? That's so far apart.
She aged so well.
And I was like, okay, I don't remember the name of that one.
The boyfriend, every time I saw him, I always thought Jack White, too, from the White Stripes.
He's a little Jack White.
You see, I thought
nowhere near as talented.
He looked like it was like, we said that he was a little bit like Severus Snape, a little bit Paul Rudd. Oh, it's Cole Sprouse. He looked like a knockoff Cole Sprouse, Sebastian Stan mix.
No.
If Sebastian Stan and Cole Sprouse had a love child, it was that kid.
And fuck that guy.
Funny. Yeah.
No, we're talking about Cameron, right? We're still talking about Cameron?
No, we were talking about the boyfriend of the
boyfriend.
Blonde. The one who gets nailed to the wall
Miles
from the
Robbins.
tattoo.
Miles Robbins, yes.
Miles Robbins.
Yeah.
He looks like Sebastian Stan and Cole Sprouse had a love
Got
child.
You. Okay, that makes more sense now. See, I'm gonna have to give it to the other friend, Oscar, the one who tries to move in when they break up. Come on? I don't know how we don't give it to him.
Man.
And then he's sitting in the lawn like, I'm sorry, I'm all fucked up. They were feeding me guacamole in a sexy way.
You know Danny McBride wrote that character too.
I know Danny McBride wrote a bunch of little insert segments in this that fucking ruined the movie for me. The amount of tone shifts where we all of a sudden do like eastbound and down dialogue, two cops in a car talking about Bon Me, but I made you one with peanut butter and jelly. What brilliant writing. It's dumb. It has no place in this movie, and I can't stand it. I'm going to go. You have the one podcaster. The one podcaster is like, I'm going to go and take a big old poop. And that's okay. Yeah, great. Love that line. Love that. And thank you for having that in the movie, Danny. God, I can't stand that shit. Anyway, do we have any more Fuck That Guy awards to give? Did you give all of yours there, Dan?
I think we got everybody.
We got a lot of fun. We were mad at a lot of people
in these movies. We got mad at some people. You know what? I will say that I love Annie. I think she's great. I think she's a great character, but I don't understand how they were just like bringing these kids all over the place. The parents going to come home and be like, "Where is my daughter?"
Like, there are no parents in that movie. You see one parent. He's the sheriff.
Yeah, and they're all just out. They're just out all night long.
You see the parents leave the house that Annie's babysitting, and Michael's.
Yes.
Nobody notices Michael in the first movie. He is just right there.
Yeah.
And nobody sees him ever. Like,
it's a great conceit, I think, and it's subtle. It's done so subtly. It's just there. The new one had so many fucking characters and so many randos just running around, and they're just window dressing. And the old one, it's more pure. Damn it. All right. But that being said, we're so mad at a lot of people in these movies.
So mad.
But a lot of people did die, and we have to figure out why they died. This is why you died. That's the name of the show. We got to figure out why people died in the original Halloween and the Legacy sequel from 2018. So I'm going to have to throw it to you, Dan. They're your movies. You're going to go first on this one. Tell us why someone died in Halloween and Halloween.
Well, I'm going to take, for the first one, I'm going to take Annie. She should have paid attention a little bit more. She was so caught up in just singing that she didn't realize that the car door was now unlocked, even though she left to go get the keys because it was locked. It's now unlocked. Had she noticed that odd little thing?
Dude, Dan, it wasn't just that. She had like 30 seconds of the car door is unlocked.
Yes.
There's fog on the window.
What is happening?
There's a dark shape in the back seat, So there's all kinds of things.
I like Annie. She should have been paying a little bit more attention. Now,
Too horned up.
For the 2018 movie, we did mention this character already. I forget her name, the blonde character in the one upstairs. Vicky, yes. So Vicky, this one stuck out to me because I tell my daughters this all the time when they're running around. Do not run around on slippery floors with socks.
Yep.
And so that is why she died, because she was running away. Had she not had socks on, she slipped, and Michael got her then. So no socks on the slippery floor. That's why he died,
socks on this. Wow, I didn't even pick up on that. That's a good point. No socks on the slippery floor.
She would have been down the stairs had she had just her bare feet on that wood floor. Pop, 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 pop. She would have been down the stairs, but nope, slip and stab. So
no sock crew unite, man.
No sock crew.
Fucking socks. Ryan Ross live. Tell us why someone died in the Halloween movies.
All right, Halloween original. Linda in her post-drunk sex, which, by the way, she's like, fantastic. That had to be terrible.
There's so two short sex scenes in this movie, and both times the guys are two pump and dump dudes. Oh my god! They're the first guy. They go upstairs, and 30 seconds later, he's like, "I'll call you," and he's gone. The second time, he climbs back on top of her, and it's literally like boom, boom, boom. He's done. She's like, that was fantastic.
Yeah,
nowhere in the history of time has that ever happened.
Also, those cigarettes were extremely long. I thought they were very tall cigarettes that she smoked.
That's how we used to make them, kid. But back in the day.
So post all of this, the boyfriend goes downstairs to get the beer, comes back up in a ghost costume with glasses, and I get the whole you think he's playing a prank at first, but you have a whole conversation with the guy. He doesn't move, he doesn't respond, he doesn't have your beer, and none of that is a red flag to you? None of that is a problem. Oh, whatever. I'll just call you're no fun. I'm going to call my friend and turn my back on the strange, distinctly taller man in the doorway.
Totally.
For the record,
he fucked her brains out. She wasn't thinking.
Ridiculous. Second
movie. I mean, they already kind of set her up as a character with not a lot of brains, dude. In the beginning. She's
regardless, not normal behavior. Second movie.
You know what? You're right. You're totally right. Second movie, go ahead.
Flip reverse. We're gonna go with the boyfriend. The ditzy boyfriend who knocks over the motorcycle with a tattoo of the special night. He is downstairs. The kid who is like the most reasonable character in the movie, by the way. Like, don't go up there, you're gonna die!
I kept waiting for that kid to come out with, what you talking about, Willis? That was the most ridiculous character, dude.
Oh, I love that character. He was so
such
good.
A caricature.
He was funny.
He was so good. I love him to death.
Again, he was a refugee from Eastbound and Down, but go ahead.
Yes.
He comes sprinting down the stairs like, don't go up there, guy. You're going to die. Reasonable.
He didn't go upstairs and he didn't die upstairs. He died downstairs.
Regardless, you know what he does, though? He hears his girlfriend screaming for help. He goes, fuck this, and grabs a knife after the girlfriend has stopped making noise. They literally have the whole like she gets stabbed and stops struggling, and then they cut down to him going, "Fuck this," grabbing a knife. Terrible decision making, dude. Terrible.
Well,
you know,
but he doesn't know.
Somebody's in trouble. I get wanting to go help, but if the noise stops, you're already in trouble. Like you've lost your chance, man. And one knife is not going to help you when they're prepped. If you were up there during the chaos, if you were able to get up there faster, sure. But the minute that the noise stops, you're fucked.
Wow.
Just leave. Just be like, yeah, I didn't like her that much anyway. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying you spent like 30 seconds talking to the kid, debating what he was going to do, all this shit. He could have
Oh, you're mad at his I'm sorry, was he going to go upstairs and kill Michael Myers then? No, he's going to die no matter what he did if he went upstairs. It's Michael fucking Myers.
I agree, but my point is, do something. Don't stand around.
That's not why he died, because he stood around. He was going to die anyway if he tried to fight Michael. His best option was to take the kid and get out of there.
That's true.
But
honestly,
but you wouldn't have done
any of those routes are why he died. The fact that he was where he was is why he died.
Shouldn't have had that girlfriend, pal. That's why you died. You came to the wrong house looking for whatever that line was, the dry, I'm going to fuck you dry or whatever she had.
You're going to dry hump you dry fuck.
What the fuck was that?
But honestly, I guess if we go back further enough, it's you left the house to go fuck with the motorcycle. If you had just been in the house, maybe
there you go.
I think that's the point.
That's what there it is. That's the one right there. Don't fuck with another person's bike.
True.
Don't fuck with and he dropped the bike too.
He dropped the whole bike.
Brutal.
I was ready. I was like, please kill him.
Start the bike.
Please.
And why did nobody react to the bike being started up? Like,
I did. I was on my couch going,
well, yes, but like nobody in the house.
No. Well, this is now. I guess it's my turn now. I gotta say, this is why you died. Well, my goodness. In the original, why someone died, man. It's not even a funny joke. I just love the fact that, what is his name? Bob, the boyfriend who gets tacked to the wall. He died so that we could have one of the greatest single moments in horror movie history, where Michael slowly pushes him up the wall,
one-handed,
and you see his feet dangling off the floor, and then he puts a knife in his gut, right in the solar plexus, pins him to the wall, and then steps back into that perfect little pool of light around his head, and just cocks his head at him.
Tilt. Oh, the head tilt.
Just does the weird, creepy. Like, what am I looking at? Just that weird alien thing that Mike does there that is just so fucking perfect. Like, this movie would have been so much less without that single 10-second moment.
Agreed.
That moment is one of my favorite shots in film history. That's why he died. He died for posterity.
Ooh,
just for that.
That's nice.
Just for that fucking shot.
I like that.
Oh, it's so good. And then in the new one, let's see, Oscar. Oscar died because karma. Because Mike follows the bro code. Mike's like, dude, you cannot try to hit on your boy's girlfriend right after she dumps him for being a shit. You can't do that. You can't take her on a shortcut and try to make out with her in old man Buzzcut's lawn or whatever the hell the guy's name was. That's now you got to die. Mike overheard that shit and he was like, not today,
was a terrible shortcut too.
That's right. I'm going to put your head on a spike. Pow!
Also,
bro code.
Honorable mention to Ray. Why the fuck would you leave the fortress house for a weird car when nobody's getting out of the car, dude?
Ray, dude. Ray's
the
kind
dad.
Of an idiot.
The dad,
man. He's
Ray.
An idiot.
What are you thinking?
Ray.
I got peanut butter on my penis.
Oh my God.
I got peanut butter on my penis. Oh,
yeah,
Jesus.
That's the first line we get from this guy.
That's right. More Eastbound and Down dumb bullshit lines in this movie. All right, there it is. All of our This Is Why You Die. It's all of our Guy Woodhouses. That means after a long, in-depth discussion of the two Halloween movies, Halloween 1978 and 40 years later, Halloween 2018, we got to rate these movies. We got to give them Scullies. Scully Award time. Dan, March of Madness. What Scully rating do you give to the original Halloween and the 2018 sequel?
It is no joke Or
None.
there's no surprise.
None.
I mean, I got my little for those watching the YouTubes. I've got my little Michael Myers little guy here. He's my favorite of the big guys. You know, over Jason, over Michael, over Freddy. He's my guy. Halloween. I can't think of any other way, but I think Halloween is probably my favorite horror movie. So 10 out of 10 Scullies. I absolutely love Halloween. You know, I think there's definitely
surprising no one.
If you see Black Christmas, you definitely see that movie had some influence on John Carpenter, but what he did here was fantastic. What he and Deborah Hill did here, Hill's writing definitely brought these female characters to life. And like, I really, watching it again, noticed how strong these characters are, especially Annie. This line that stood out from Annie that made me love her even more when she told her boyfriend, she's like, you better, like, let's come over here and let's start talking about the things, or let's start doing the things that we're talking about. Basically, like, she's this like driving, strong woman, which I have a feeling probably wasn't captured on film that often. And I really think that Deborah Hill kind of helped influence that. So great writing. I think it just ramps up the tension. It really set, it set all the tropes up for what became tropes of the slasher genre. It showed the talent that John Carpenter it was at the time and would become. And it's just like it's the way that Hellraiser is for you, Ian. It's like this Halloween is for me. It's just like, it's on. I watch it every Halloween. I put it on at least at some point in the night. When I'm putting up my Halloween decorations, I put on the soundtrack and listen to it. Like,
the soundtrack is
when I write one of my horror scripts that I'm really proud that I wrote a feature, I was listening to the entire Halloween soundtrack as I was writing it, because it was a slasher I was writing for inspiration. So 10 out of 10. I love Halloween.
10 out of 10.
2018's Halloween. You guys brought up some great points that hurt my heart so bad and like made me like
Ryan destroyed the third act.
Well, it destroyed the third act. That's like my favorite.
Horrible. I love it. It's so bad.
I really like. There's so many things there's so many flaws and everything, but when you look at what I feel like what this one did that no other one had done before, no other sequel had really done, like really getting the feeling of that first one. It's still up there for me. I still got to give it an 8 out of 10 Scullies. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy what it did with Jamie Lee Curtis's character. I love Laurie Strode, and I love kind of how the take on this one compared to Halloween H2O, where they made her like this kind of alcoholic professor. I like this more like, trauma, like this woman that's just been dealing with this trauma her entire life. And I like what they did. 8 out of 10 for me.
Fair enough. Ryan Ross Live, your first time seeing 2018 and maybe your second time seeing the original. What Scullies do you give to the Halloween movies?
So this is tough because I'll be honest. So like I said, I think the first one's a better movie. I enjoyed the second one more, but I think the first one's distinctly a better movie. But the thing is, like, I'm kind of stuck because I feel like 8.5 isn't enough for the technical aspects of the movie and its legacy. But I also feel like I didn't enjoy it enough for it to be a 9. And so it's like fair. This weird like gap of like, I don't really know.
That's been your thing before, where you say like, I know there's a legacy to the movie, like you did with Omen, where you're like, I think there's a legacy, but I didn't enjoy the movie.
So I'll stick with 8.5 for the original. I think that like it's very, very good. I think technically it's very adept. I think it's just it's a very dry movie for the most part. The suspense is done brilliantly. Like the horror is done well. I think it's just a dry movie, and also like there's just something about the old 80s horror movies that's just so soaked in cheese that's really hard at times. I'm like, God, like it just so undermines a lot of the horror vibe with this dumb, cheesy, like, she's going to like roll her eyes while she's choking to death. Dumb. Anyway, the new one.
And the cross-eyed death.
Oh my God. The new one has so many issues, but it was so fun to watch. And so like that one's tough too, because it's like on the flip side, like the third act has so many gaping flaws And there's a bunch of dumb flaws and decisions in this movie. I think the writing, I think that generally the decision making and most of the way that the characters behave in the second movie is a lot less grounded. People make dumb decisions and people consistently do silly, dumb things. And my camera froze. But I think I think the problem is that like there was still really cool stuff. I think that the house being trapped was super cool. I thought that the reveal of the actual fire bursting through the basement is the shot that makes the movie with his eyes lighting up. And as much as the Happy Halloween Michael is cheesy, I really liked that moment. It's dumb, but it was fun.
Hold on, you go get your camera. I'm gonna speak on that really quickly because there is something that I want that I want to say about cheese, and there is a certain part of these horror movies where cheese is something that is fun, that is enjoyable. The way that you feel about that moment being cheesy, but you're okay with it, you enjoy it. That's kind of the thing that I feel about a lot of these 80s movies that you like to denigrate. It's like, yeah, it's cheese that I like. I like, oh, it's so sweet. Her having the cross eyes as she's like squeaking down the window, right? Or her Laurie finding her friend stuffed in the closet, and her friend's literally sitting there with tongue hanging out and everything. That's cheese that I love. It doesn't ruin it for me. But do you feel that like is it a different kind of cheese for you?
Yes, it's dumb cheese versus entertaining cheese. Of 80s, here's the thing. 80s
Worst
cheese, 80s cheese tends to be, in my opinion, a lot of 80s cheese tends to be like people being very flippant, people not taking stuff seriously, people being like overacting stuff for like a gag, whereas like the cheese in the new movie is it cheesy that she comes out of the darkness and says like a one-liner? Absolutely. But she's in the moment taking it seriously, that in world it still can be taken seriously, and you can as a viewer be like, that's cheesy, but it's fucking cool. And that's different in my opinion. I can't take the old cheese seriously. And it's not even about the age. I'm referring to it by age just because of where they sit. But like, if people were just like, la-da-da cheese, I can't take it seriously. Whereas people, if are actually like selling it and like commit to the bit, then I'm like, great, it can be cheesy and still be fun, but you gotta
see. I argue that they're committing to the bit back in the day. The new stuff is just cringy because it's so self-serious. But that's it. That's my opinion. I'm just saying, like,
Ryan,
counterpoint.
We didn't even bring up, which we need to before we leave this whole episode. But we didn't even talk about Donald Pleasance's performance, and if you thought that Dr. Loomis is over the top.
Oh, Loomis.
Dr. Loomis.
I think the problem. I think Loomis is
evil
fine.
is gone from here. Evil is gone.
I think that.
Do you like that?
I like Loomis. I think the problem with Loomis is so separated from a lot of the action that I feel like it's tough because he doesn't feel really looped into anything. He's very much a side plot at best. I like his character, but I feel like he doesn't really lend anything to the main story.
I more meant the cheese of his, like him. Of his performance. Okay, I love it too. I think it's fantastic.
He's committed.
His is a good cheese, in your opinion.
Yes.
We're gonna have to dial in. We're gonna have to dial in what kind of cheese you like and what kind of cheese you don't. But right now, we need to dial in what your ratings are for this because we are running long on this one. Let's go. What are your ratings for the two movies, Ryan? Commit. Let's
honestly, go. Do I tie them? I like the second one better. I gotta go 9. It doesn't deserve a 9.
Oh my God.
It doesn't deserve a 9.
No.
But I liked it.
That's crazy.
I liked it.
That's interesting.
It's not a technical
Ryan
9
Ross
movie.
Live. You were saying the 2018 Halloween is better than the original 1978 Halloween.
No. I'm saying I enjoyed it more. There's a difference.
But you're rating it higher.
Yes. Personally.
So you're saying it's better.
No. I'm not saying I'm saying I enjoyed it more. The first one is a better movie. It's better written. It has. I think that the actor for Michael Myers is a better Michael Myers than the first movie.
Nick Castle, respect.
I think that
he played it a little bit in the second one too. He played in the remake. He played it a couple times too.
I think the characters are more grounded and more real in the first movie. But I think there are higher highs in the second movie. I think it's more fun, and I think that there's like some really. I think it's shot better. And I don't think that I think they're very different. I do think that the first one is a better movie. I was more entertained by the second movie.
Fair enough. All right.
Fair
well, Ryan
enough.
has weighed in equal points, 8.5 for both Halloween and the sequel, Halloween 2018. I guess it's fair to say then that the sequel did not make or did not break the first one. It made the first one for you because it completely fit in.
I think it's a cool way to bring it to the modern era. I don't think it does a brilliant job, but I think it does.
So
really
resurrected
curious.
then?
Oh yes,
that was the whole idea, right?
I'd say resurrected.
I say resurrected, of course.
All right. Well, then it's up to me then. Let's see, because I've got to give my ratings, my Scully ratings for Halloween and Halloween 2018. And I think it comes as no surprise. I think the original Halloween is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. I don't think it's a perfect movie. There are definitely horror movies I think that are better. There are Carpenter movies I think that are better. But it is an all-time classic in terms of the genre. It changed the shape of how we view horror movies and what you do in horror movies. It changed the way that it's thought of in terms of how you make independent movies and how you can, like, the kind of things you can do with them. And it's been, we've talked, I mean, Halloween, the original Halloween, it's been talked about ad nauseum. There's no need to relitigate all of that stuff again. It's a 9.5 for me. It's not, The Thing is a 10. This is a 9.5. It's just right up there. There's just, trade off on any given Sunday, but it's an absolute all-time classic. The 2018 one is certainly not the worst sequel ever made to the original Halloween. I personally prefer Halloween 2. I like having Laurie Strode be the sister. I think that gives him more purpose. However, there's a case to be made for Michael being a force of nature. I just don't think that anyone's done a movie that has proven to me why that he should be that way. Even Carpenter couldn't figure out how to continue that in Halloween 2. And we've had 40 years and they still can't figure out how to make Michael a force of nature and make that work in any kind of appreciable way. And the sequels to this sequel only prove that. I'm not going to rate this movie based on those sequels. I'm going to intentionally keep those out of my mind because this movie is definitely dragged down by those sequels and what an atrocity they were in every single way, and how they showed that the fundamental concepts of what these guys thought of Michael and this world are deeply, deeply flawed. It's up there with Christopher Nolan and Batman for just completely misunderstanding a character and a world and everything else. But that's kind of what I'm driving at is 2018. It makes a lot of big moves and a lot of big steps and is trying to say a lot of things, but it does not accomplish any of them. I think that it is an entertaining movie. It's not a bad slasher movie. And it's, as I said, far, far from the worst Halloween movie. But honestly, I think there are higher highs in the Rob Zombie remake. I think there are lower lows, but I think there are higher highs in the Rob Zombie remake. I think that their Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, is a more enjoyable movie for me than Halloween 2018. I don't know that it's a solid Resurrected for me. I think it's a 7.5. And I think that it's a movie that I don't regret having seen again, but it definitely, I was more entertained when I first saw it in the theater and I was like, all right, they did a pretty good job. When I watched it again, I'm like, this is really not very good. And they did not do a very good job. The story is terrible. The dialogue is cringy. The tone is all over the place. There's a couple of fantastic scenes. A lot of love has obviously been gone into this from people that are fans of the series. But as with most legacy sequels, just because you're a fan of the series doesn't mean that you should be the person to make the fucking movie. You need to be a storyteller first, and you need to be a fan of the series second. And that's not what happened here. So only a 7.5 for me for 2018. But there it is, guys. We have weighed in on Halloween and Halloween 2018. Any final thoughts, Mr. Ryan Ross Live?
You guys will be glad to know that averaged out, we gave
Statman
Ryan
Ross Live
a 9.5, and we gave Halloween 2018 an 8.
Okay.
And it is also the widest gap of any of the sequels that we did. We tied both of our sequels before rounded. We did have the original Dawn of the Dead slightly above the remake in terms of like without the averaging, but this is by far the most distinct difference, original to remake for this hex. And we're clear of the hex. We're
done with the hex. We're done with the hex. Oh, thank God. Back to singles movies.
We did
and it
it,
also
guys.
means that
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, you are out of a prompt.
I am out of a prompt.
So you go grab your DeLorean bucket of the beast. Ryan Ross Live is about to tell us what he has for his prompt. And I am sitting on Family, which is going to be an interesting one in 2 weeks. But there's Dan. He's got the DeLorean out. It's glowing. It's flying. It's being shot by Dean Cundy. What do you have? What are you picking out of there for your next prompt?
All right, I got
Mr.
one.
Dan.
I'm going to lay it right there so I can close up this.
Such a complicated box.
Let's put it there.
Easily the most complicated bucket of the beast we have on this show.
It sure is. Maybe I'll switch it soon. Here we go. And the new one is Gray.
Ooh.
Gray. Grey.
Gray. Yeah, that's all right. That is wide open.
Flexible prompt.
That is extremely flexible. You have to think about that.
This is like the first time that like nothing has come to
Nothing's
my mind.
popped up?
Like nothing popped
That's
up.
exciting,
I mean, the
though.
only thing that came to my mind was the Liam Neeson fighting the wolves, but that's not a horror movie. It's like survival thriller. Got it.
Yeah.
But like I'm gonna go something different. But that was the only thing that popped into my head.
I've actually
I gotta
seen that one.
think about it.
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
It's a brutal movie.
It's a good one.
Liam Neeson can kick some ass, man.
He has a special set of skills.
He does.
Yes.
Even when fighting wolves. I'm sorry, but putting a whole bunch of like little bottles in between your fingers and taping them up, that's a special set of skills.
Oh.
Yes.
Right there. Good stuff. All right, so Dan is now sitting on Gray. I have Family and Ryan Ross Live. What are you sitting on and what are we watching next week?
All right, guys. So I had Sleep, and there were a lot of options for Sleep. Obviously, I could go one of the Nightmares on Elm Streets. I have seen the original.
1, 2, Freddy's Count. Yeah, no?
I have seen the original.
You have? You have?
It's one
of
prior to starting the podcast, I did a whole summer where I was trying to watch through some classic horror movies. That's when I watched Alien. I only watched a couple, but I watched Alien, I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and I watched Beetlejuice, which is kind of adjacent to horror. But anyway.
Yeah, that works.
So
R.I.P. Catherine O'Hara too.
So R.I.P. Catherine. Oh,
yeah,
Rip Catherine O'Hara.
Pour one out.
But so I'm not going to go one of the Nightmare on Elm Street. I also considered there's like Dr. Sleep. There were a couple other funky things that we could do, but I think that we have had a string of too many good movies.
Oh no!
And so I think we're getting to the end of season 2, and it's been a while since we haven't had.
What have you done?
It's been a while since we've had a break, a movie that we can tear apart. And so I don't want to go. I don't want to go as bad as we've gone before. And obviously, I try and stay pretty blind to most of these things. But I found a movie that's reviewed very middlingly that I think will be a great one for us to dissect that I've never heard of, called Slumber.
I've never heard of it either. Who's in it? What year is this from?
What is from 2017?
What have you done?
It is a
2017
British supernatural horror thriller film.
British
supernatural
by Jonathan
horror.
Hopkins and co-written by Richard Hobley and Hopkins. It involves Maggie Q, Will Kemp, Honor Nepsy, Sylvester McCoy, Sophia Wiseman, and William Todd James.
I only recognize
Google.
Maggie Q.
How do you know this is a bad movie?
Because the only things that I check when I pick movies are I obviously search for the prompt, and then I check the average general ratings on like IMDb and Google, and like the 2-sentence synopsis. This is how I choose movies because that's all I got. And I'm going to warn you guys, this movie is not rated very
What's it got?
God.
It's rated very middlingly, so I'm very interested to see where we get.
Okay. We're going back to Willow Creek territory here. All right,
Not
Slumber.
Its IMDb score is a 4.7 out of 10.
We're going back to Willow Creek.
Line? Is there a log line?
A doctor must confront her own nightmares while battling a parasitic demon that preys on people while they sleep.
That doesn't sound that bad. That's
not
cool.
a bad log. I'm in. All right. Well, Slumber it is.
All right,
from 2017. Slumber from 20. Ryan is pulling a deep cut on us.
We're going to try something new, folks.
We're coming out of the hex and we're going into a whole undiscovered country with Ryan Ross Live and Slumber coming up next week. My goodness. All right. Well, stay tuned for that. But in the meantime,
it could be terrible.
It sounds like it's going to be terrible, but the show is going to be great as we tear it the fuck apart if that is the case.
It could be so bad it's good. We don't know.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I do really, really, really like good, bad movies.
We're going to have to find out.
We are going to find out next week. But in the meantime, anything we want to say on the way out, Mr. Dan March Madness, tell them where they can find us.
Oh, they can go to beacons.ai/TIWYD pod for our store and for all the links to listen to us or watch us on our YouTube channel.
Yes, indeed. And Mr. Ryan Ross Live, what can they find on our Patreon?
At the risk of making this our longest episode ever, big shout out to our dedicated benefactor, CG.
CG,
thank you for still being here, CG.
Yes.
Hours.
Yes.
We could have
anyone
seen
who's
the
still
original
listening
Halloween.
at this point. Anyone who's still listening at this point, we love you. We love you right now because we just went off on Halloween forever.
It's a classic.
We appreciate you. And there is more to come. We do have an extended edition for our patrons. You guys stick around. We're gonna have some decompression.
Extended edition.
That's right. We're gonna be having some more after this, so stick around for that. Thank you to all of our listeners, everyone out there. Thank you so much. If you're at this part in the show, you are a dedicated listener indeed, and we really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks for checking out this show. We will see you next week when we're going to do Slumber. But for Ryan Ross Live, for Dan March Madness, I am Sir Ian Dangerous. We will see you next time right here on
This is why you die.